Today's social media segment is brought to you by Terrebonne General Health System. Your health is our legacy. Rouse's, you're either local or you're not. Buick, the craft of modern luxury. St. Martin and Bork, know your rights.
Since 1911, the Pierre Parts Store has been your one-stop shop. Family owned and operated for 4 generations, the Pierre Parts Store has served the community by providing groceries, hardware, home products, and much more, including a full-service lumber yard. Now, we've added the Thibodaux store to the family with the same values and service we've delivered for over 100 years. The Pierre Parts Store and the Thibodaux store, our family serving your family.
All right, welcome back, and it is time for another Good Vibes. I'm Martin False, joined by Debbie Cox-Danova. She is in the house. Good to see you. How are you?
See you. Good. How are you?
I love the topic today, raising energy. I'm ready to go work out after.
Yes. Gonna do the
Raise the energy.
Yeah.
How hard is that for most people?
It's it's hard because most of us are uneducated to how it actually works to create true energy. A lot of what people are doing in order to boost their energy through the day is coffee or some sort of energy drink, something with stimulants in it. And we've talked about this before. What's happening there is that there is a fatigue molecule called adenosine, and what caffeine does, it actually blocks the receptors for the adenosine to lock in. So then you feel stimulated. Problem is, as soon as that wears off, all that adenosine is still in your system, and then you get fatigued, like you crash, right? You get tired like that. So what we're talking about today is how to build true energy in the body, sustainable energy that is real, that's coming from the inside, and that's not just a cover up for something a cause, right? There's something going on usually when you're super fatigued. So let's talk about the root cause of those things. So the first thing, and we have talked about this already, is that magnesium is a cofactor for ATP. So remember, bring back to science real quick. The mitochondria of the cell is the powerhouse of the cell. And the job of the mitochondria is to create cellular energy called ATP. All right, powerhouse of the cell creates ATP. It cannot create ATP without magnesium. And so a lot of people are walking around magnesium deficient, and the number one symptom of magnesium deficiency is, what do you think?
Low energy.
Yeah, low energy, fatigue. So if you're fatigued, you might want to check your magnesium levels. We talked about doing Epsom salt bath, taking a supplement, using magnesium oil on the skin, but you can also get it through spinach, avocados, fish, also almonds. Okay, so you can add it into your diet so that you're actually allowing your body to have enough magnesium to do what it's supposed to do to create that energy.
Invent a magnesium shirt or suit where you can wear it and get it all day. Can you get too much?
You know what? I think that your body starts to get rid of it. You start having a diuretic effect whenever you have too much magnesium. So, and typically it takes a whole lot. If you're in a saltwater situation, your body's going to regulate and know when to. That's why I love the oil, right? But when you're taking it supplementally, you want to make sure that you're not getting too much of it, because your body will definitely start having a diuretic effect. You'll know.
All right, I'll trash the magnesium shirt for right now.
Okay.
All right.
And then we have something called the sodium potassium pump. Okay, so we have millions and millions of these sodium potassium pumps in your cells. And so the job of that is to generate electrical current and charge so that your body can actually produce ATP. So it's kind of like a battery that actually powers the muscles in your nervous system. So a lot of people, especially who are doing maybe ketogenic diet or fasting, are not getting enough sodium. So first of all, making sure that you have, and a lot of people are getting too much sodium. That's a whole different conversation. But you want to make sure you have an adequate amount of sodium, and the potassium is definitely one. We actually need a lot of potassium. We need 4,700 milligrams of potassium per day. Wow. So you can get it through your food, through fruits and, through vegetables, through bananas, leafy greens, that sort of thing. But if you're not feeling like it takes a lot of eating, salads and things like that. If you're not getting enough, then make sure you're incorporating maybe an electrolyte powder so that you're getting enough potassium to make sure that you're.
Everybody says eat bananas, but a lot of people say bananas are bad for you.
I know. It's a whole other conversation.
I couldn't believe.
Right, exactly. So if you're worried about the sugar in bananas, then you can go ahead and get it through leafy greens and
don't eat a ripe banana. Has a lot more sugar.
A lot more sugar in a ripe banana, right? So, but if you're kind of minimizing on your fruit intake, then, we're not going to get into the different types of diets, but you want to make sure that in general, lots of fruits and vegetables, let's say, are, is a consistent thing that we know is good for our bodies overall.
All right.
Okay. So, and then if not that, if you feel like, oh, I'm just not getting enough, I don't like it, electrolyte powder would help for that as well. Okay. So then we want to talk about mitochondria biogenesis. This is making more mitochondria, more powerhouses, more ATP. Okay. So the number one way to do this, can you guess what the number one way of making more powerhouses would be?
To go on exercise.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, consistent exercise and the kind of progressive overload that allows your body to start adjusting by creating more powerhouses in your cells. So you want to do both endurance training and also resistance training. Both of those things are going to support your body in mitochondrial biogenesis, okay? Another way of supporting your body is something that we've talked about a couple of times, and that's fasting or intermittent fasting. That's actually going to produce more mitochondria in your body. Then there's something called cold thermogenesis. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with cold therapy, cryotherapy, where you see people get into these.
I've heard about it, but I'm not doing it.
Right. It's super uncomfortable. Like, why would anybody do that, right? Well, this is
in a cold ice tub.
Ice tub, right, exactly. Yeah. So you look at that and you're like, why on earth? So just to shed a little bit of light about at least part of why you're wanting to do this is because what happens whenever you get into super cold, when you create cold thermogenesis, whether you're taking a cold shower, ice bath, or getting into one of those cryo tanks, is that your body needs to maintain 98.6 to the core. So you can imagine it puts the mitochondria under great stress to start to generate enough heat to offset that cold. So in doing so, if it cannot accommodate for that, the body needs to then create more mitochondria to help generate that heat. That's why we shiver, right?
Yeah.
Creating that heat. And so what happens is that you have more powerhouses making more ATP in your body. So if you talk to somebody who on a regular basis puts themselves through that discomfort, what they will tell you is it's life-changing because they feel more clarity, more energy. They feel like they're aging backwards. Their body just has enough energy to do the things that they want to do and also to do the healing process.
Yeah, if you make it through the hypothermia.
Right. I'm not going to lie. For somebody especially like me, it kind of feels like you might die.
Yeah, I know. All right, we're going to take a short break. We're coming back. We're talking about raising your energy level. We'll be Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough. All right, welcome back. Raising your energy here on Good Vibes. Debbie Cox-Denova is in here giving us some great tips. Me and you've talked about this before because no secret, we work out. I need to work out a lot more, obviously. People are saying that on TV. Yeah. All right, so some days you're just in the zone and your body's, man, give me more. I want to reach the peak. Other days, before you even start, your body's drained. Does a lot of that have to do with what you went through during the day, mentally or physically?
Sure. Yeah, and this is something that I was definitely going to get to, which is that a lot of people will say, I'm physically drained. And when you ask them what they do during the day, they were doing a lot of sitting. So what's going on there, right? Our brain actually accounts for 2% of the body weight that we have, but it accounts for 25% or more of the energy consumed. It's an energy consumption machine. So a chess player who's playing in a tournament can burn up to 6,000 calories per day just playing in the tournament. And that's a lot of sitting, right? Not a whole lot of physical activity, and yet it's consuming all of these calories. And so the preferred fuel source of the brain is glucose, but you want to make sure that you're having a steady stream of glucose, because if you have spikes where you're eating a lot of sugar, right, or you're eating carbohydrates or sugars without proteins or fats, what will happen is that you'll spike up and then you'll spike back down. And those huge spikes in your glucose are associated with fatigue as well. So even though sugar gets you that high right away, what happens when you crash is that you come down even lower. So I was talking to you about this, that you can get yourself a home glucose tracker, which can be really powerful for you to understand which foods are actually causing your blood sugar to spike, so that you can start keeping a steady flow of energy going. So yes, a lot of times, most times, especially in our society, when you feel drained out by the end of the day, it's not a matter of physical work that you're doing. A lot of times it's because you've been using the battery life in your...
So let me ask you this. Blueberries get me on a roll. Bananas get me peaking, but I'll crash after banana. But strawberries make me feel bad.
Okay, so then you need to pay attention, because the allergies are also a thing, and also because all of us are different, right? So sometimes our body doesn't process certain things. It creates chronic inflammation for us, where for someone else it might not be problematic. But in general, blueberries is a good thing to talk about, because polyphenols is a really important compound for helping the mitochondria to make ATP. You can find polyphenols in blueberries, other types of berries and green tea, some types of herbs, dark chocolate. Okay, if you're getting polyphenols, that helps as well. And then talking about the brain and preferring glucose as a form of fuel, we talked about before using ketones sometimes through intermittent fasting, right? And it's important from an ATP standpoint too, because ketones actually deliver 10.5 kilograms of ATP, where glucose only delivers 8.7 kilograms. And most of us are spending our entire lives only
So the
running on
secondary
glucose.
brain source is better than the first.
Yeah, yes, exactly. To deliver on ATP. Because you got to remember, once you get into ketones, your body is hunting for food for survival purposes. So it goes into this kind of like, let's get rid of all the stuff that we don't need. Let's ramp up on the mitochondria so that we can go and find food for survival. So obviously that's going to deliver more energy to you. Okay.
You know, that reminds me of when lions are hungry.
Yeah.
They say their senses are better.
Oh, for sure.
They're hunting.
Humans as well. Humans as well, right?
Okay.
So, and then carnitine is a compound that actually helps transport fat into the mitochondria. It's going to actually help increase endurance. It's going to delay the fatigue factor. It's going to act even as an antioxidant to decrease the damage in muscles. And can you guess? You've been doing really well on these quizzes. Can you guess the #1 food for carnitine?
Cashews, peanuts?
Nope, red meat.
Missed it.
I know. That's okay. You're doing it pretty good today.
Well, what's the difference between carnitine and L-carnitine?
So that's a great question. I think that L-carnitine, it might be a supplemental thing, but I don't know the answer to that one. So
I wonder if it's lysine or carnitine. I don't know if it's a mixture.
yeah, and I know that's a good thing for me to look up
right,
and give you
I'll
the
check
answer
it out.
later on.
All right, okay.
Yeah, you stumped me. Say I stumped you, stumped me.
1 for 1.
Okay. And then apple cider vinegar is actually a really great asset for the cells to use to make more ATP. So apple cider vinegar, you can take 1 tablespoon in a glass of water.
But
You
who
don't
the
want to drink
hell
direct.
likes apple cider vinegar?
Not a person, but it's really helpful for energy, right? So take one. It's kind of harsh, to take it straight.
Don't go on a date after.
I know. 1 tablespoon of it in a glass of water per day, and it should help you. B vitamins. B vitamins are really intimately involved in turning food into ATP. This is why when someone has a B vitamin deficiency, even though they're eating all the proper foods, they feel fatigued. It could be a conversion factor. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough B vitamins, especially if you're vegan, because a lot of your B vitamins can come from your meat, right? Or you can use nutritional yeast as a B vitamin source, but you want to make sure that you have enough B vitamins. If you're feeling fatigued for no reason, you're like, I eat well, I'm not sure what's going on, you may want to check into that as well.
I love B vitamins.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
good. They're good.
Oh, yeah. And when you take them and you're deficient, you know right away, like, okay, that is actually, that's the
Good for leg pain and everything.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, and then when we talk about the brain using up energy, you want to decrease on the number of decisions that you have to make in a day that you could actually be putting on automatic. So we talked about having a uniform and how Steve Jobs and,
That ain't going to happen.
I know. But if you have a certain number of outfits that you can actually just grab, like that mix and match really easily, so you're not having to make big decisions. So you can grab a color of this top and you do that.
Yeah,
You do that.
I'm talking about decision during the day.
Yeah. So what a lot of people do is they don't understand it in the very first bit of the morning. That's where they have the most energy to make some really powerful moves in their lives, but they're wasting it on things like deciding what to wear.
Right.
And, so decide what your day is going to look like the night before, and then make sure that your morning is full of the things that are going to move your life forward, so you don't have to think about them as much.
All right. Very cool show. Let's go take some B vitamins.
Yes, let's do it.
All right, and some cornitine. We'll see you next week.